Hello everyone and welcome to CFC Fan TV. Now I'm sorry I can't bring you happier news this morning, but there is something that we need to discuss, and that is last night's loss. We lost to Bournemouth 4-0. I don't care that we're away from home. 4-0 is our biggest league defeat since 1996. That is a huge, huge deal. Not just for the fans, but for the club itself. I mean, you don't want to be creating, I don't know, it's not even memory. You don't want to be creating records like that. That's you just don't want to lose 4-0 to anyone. I can't remember the last time we lost that. I remember I was just thinking to myself when it was 2-0, I sort of just laughed a little bit, thinking, oh, for God's sake, we're going to lose this 2-1, something like that. Then the third one went in, and I thought, OK, right, I'm going to bed now. And then the fourth one went in, and I was just there like, right, OK, this is total bollocks, sorry to say it, but it's true. I don't really want to say it's because we don't have a talented squad, because that would be completely incorrect. We have an incredibly talented squad who aren't playing for the manager. I personally think that they just don't agree with his philosophy or the way he trains. I think I've heard that they have to train a bit later on in the day and things like that. So I can imagine there are some things that they just don't like about our manager. And okay, fine, I don't want everyone to jump to conclusions and say to me that I'm being too rash or unfair on him, but at the end of the day, your job as a manager is to motivate the players, and he's only been here a few months. You know, he's only been here for half a year or so, and we're already seeing a 4-0 and setting a new record for our worst league defeat since God knows when. So, unfortunately, I think Sarri does have to take a bit of the blame, and I'm going to start off, actually, before we even get into the game itself, with Hudson-Odoi. Apparently, he was left out of the squad last night because well, from what we reports say, as a punishment for handing in a transfer request. What are you doing? What on earth are you doing? If you don't want to play him, let him go. He clearly wants to go, and you can't blame him. You can't. We all want him to stay. This is not my preference. This is just my opinion. He wants to go because he knows Chelsea's record of playing youngsters and how they bring them out, and you know what it's going to be like. Will they get first team football? He knows it's probably, no matter how good he is, he's not going to get a decent run in. Instead, we just sign players that come and go left, right and centre when we actually have all the talent in our young squad. And not only the club, but Sarri refuses to use him. So I can if I was Hudson-Odoi, I would completely understand why he's frustrated. He's a young kid. He's got an amazing offer from Bayern Munich who want to pay 40 million for him. You don't really, not let alone from Chelsea, you don't really hear that in this day and age of a club like Bayern Munich wanting to buy, you know, an academy player or somebody that's come up through the ranks. So it's incredibly disheartening for him, and I really hope eventually, no matter what, that he gets the right club for him, because I think he deserves it. I think he's such a talent, and it would be such a shame to see that go to waste, you know, week in, week out, when we have a manager who is leaving him out of the squad entirely. It's completely bizarre to me. He gets a goal in the FA Cup. He comes on against Arsenal. He's probably one of the only hungry players we have on the bench. He's a young player. He made the difference in the team the minute he came on. What more does he have to do? Why would you leave him out of this fixture? I just find it completely and utterly bizarre. I think it's disgraceful. I think it's incredibly disappointing for all of us fans. I think it's incredibly disappointing because I didn't go in the end, to all the fans that went down to Bournemouth and stood in the freezing cold to see that load of crap. So I am mad today, and I think sometimes you calm down after this, but I think just that overall treatment is just pretty poor. Going into the game itself, I don't know what you lot think of Higuain so far. What do you think, Sammy, of Higuain so far? I mean, he hasn't really had much to do, I suppose, and he isn't getting much service. And I don't want to put too much of the blame on him. Yeah, he hasn't got a goal yet, but at the end of the day, it's the rest of the team that aren't giving him the service that he needs. We're talking about getting a new midfielder now from Watford, and he's good. He is good, and I think if Willian ends up going to PSG, like there are talks of that happening, we're obviously going to need somebody else. But I don't think this is a case of our squad not being talented. I think this is a case of the players don't want to play for Sarri. They've clearly had enough. His philosophy, that's a fly, his philosophy of how he wants his whole team to play more attacking football, I'm all for that. But at the end of the day, what he's done, I think, you had to be very careful when you change the team around. I think what he did when he moved Hazard to a false nine in the City game, I think that was perfect tactics for that specific game, because we didn't have a striker. We needed the extra midfielders to sort of bulk it out, and if we wanted to keep Hazard on the pitch, that I think that worked. It doesn't work every single week. That is a once in a... I think when you play against, you know, your top rivals in the Premier League, like for instance now, it would be City and Liverpool, you do have to change things around again a bit. You do have to make tactical decisions, things that you wouldn't normally do so the other team doesn't figure you out. There's no other reason to do it. And he messed that up, and I think that's probably pissed off Hazard. I think he's... Roy, I think to leave Hudson-Odoi out of the squad, I'm pretty sure he must. I mean, I'm only speculating here, but he must be, you know, good friends with the rest of the senior squad. And I would think that they would think what happened to Hudson-Odoi yesterday by not even being put on the bench is just plain rude. That's the way I see it. Nobody could understand it. Fans on Twitter, and I'm quite careful about the way I tweet these days. I like to try and not have too much of an opinion because you guys do give me a lot of crap on there. But I'm just reiterating what all you guys say, and that is the fact that we want Hudson-Odoi in the squad week in, week out, and we've denied his transfer request. So I don't understand why you're not playing him. I mean, let him go. We see it do it time and time again. We don't want other teams to have him, but we don't play him. It's just such a waste. To me, I just think Bayern Munich wanting Hudson-Odoi, and he had an offer from another club as well, that should be a major alarm bell to you to start playing him. Play him week in, week out. There is nothing to lose. You know, I love Pedro, and I do rate Willian as much as he hasn't had a good season. But these players are getting older, and if we're talking about, you know, having some more players the youth, having some more players like the likes of JT and Frank Lampard, you know, Hudson-Odoi would really be the way to go, and we need that spine of a team. You know, we want to start building that now, and I think to not let him go, but not play him at the same time is just, it's very bizarre to me. It doesn't make any sense, and yeah, I feel bad for him, I suppose, and I'm sure he doesn't want my sympathy, but you know, that must be incredibly frustrating when you're that age. And the fact that Chelsea have the chance to save themselves a lot of money, save themselves a lot of time and hassle, save themselves from buying another failed recruit or signing, whatever you want to say, and they choose not to do so, and, you know, try and have a bit of longevity in the club. I don't get it. And I suppose today the game last night, you might just say, oh, it's just one loss and everything. We've been playing bad for months now. So I think Sarri's system worked in the beginning. I think it was only going to last so long because at the end of the day we didn't have a forward, and if you want to play that attacking style of football, you have to have a forward, and moving your best player in Eden Hazard into a position he doesn't want to play in, moving Kante into a different position, I don't think he's comfortable doing that, and it's not his strongest point. He's one of the best mid-holding midfielders in the world. I don't think that's worked either. And I think slowly over time the team have just got fed up with it. That's my opinion. I try to compare it to any job because you never really know what goes on. But if your manager's giving you a hard time, you're not performing well at work, it sort of all just comes into one, doesn't it? So let me know what you think about it. I'm sure everyone is really, really mad. And I'm probably going to get a bit of stick for this video for saying that I've been too harsh and it's only one loss, but I had to go on Sky Sports News today and battle it out against Arsenal and Tottenham as to why I think we're going to get top four. And at the end of the day, what was I actually meant to say? Oh yeah, I still think we can get top four, because that would be a complete lie. So I had to be honest and say, no, listen, I am very worried. I'm worried about getting top four. I'm worried about the relationship with the club and Hudson-Odoi. I'm worried about our manager situation, because if Sarri goes, let's face it, who else is there going to be? We're running out of managers, and I think the point that the whole thing comes into one. It's our management of players over the years. It's the relationship that's been had between the manager and players, the manager and the club and the player, whoever, and it's just nothing's ever gelled together. And I think there's a series of problems. And for me, I think leaving Hudson-Odoi out of the squad last night just tipped me over the edge, and it sort of displayed just what our overall problems are in a general. So yes, the team performance was awful, the goals were terrible, it's terrible defending, it's terrible play, to let in 4 goals in any circumstance, and that's all I really have to say, to be honest. So I'm going to do tomorrow's video, and it's going to be on Sarri, so look out for that tomorrow. But yeah, I'm sorry guys, I can't bring you any good news today.